Are we going live, Dr. Neeraj? Uh, your mic is on mute.
The settings, but it's not taking.
You just have to click the go live button, or you can do it again. No issues.
Yeah, I'm doing it again because it's saying you do not have permission to live stream.
You have opened the Facebook account, no?
Yes, yes.
No, it cannot do like that. Oh, we are live. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Neeraj. We are already live, yeah? So, as we are live, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Flora Fauna Foundation's talk series. Here we get a chance to hear the leaders in their respective fields and get a chance to interact with them. So today we have Dr. V. Sundaresan with us, who is also our esteemed member. Welcome, sir. We have Dr. S.V.S. Kanoja, first founder president of the body, and Dr. A.K. Singh, vice president of Flora Fauna Science Foundation. So without taking much time, I request Professor Kanoja to please start the session with his insights. Sir, please.
Thank you, Dr. Monica. First of all, welcome to Dr. Sundaresan, who happens to be my student also. And I remember his days of training at CMAP, and since then he has been growing. And today is an expert in the field who is well renowned. So welcome, Dr. Sundaresan, to this platform. नमस्कार, आप सभी जो इस मंच से जुड़े हैं फ्लोरा फोना साइंस फाउंडेशन के वेब सीरीज में, उन सभी का स्वागत है, अभिनंदन। और आज हम एक नई बात करने जा रहे हैं जिसका विषय आपने देखा होगा, बॉटेनिकल्स है। तो आप जैसा कि जानते हैं, इस वर्ष का हमारा जो थीम है फ्लोरा फोना साइंस फाउंडेशन का, वो फसल से सफल है। तो फसल से सफल जब हम बात करते हैं तो कई तरीके के उत्पाद हो सकते हैं फसल के द्वारा, और उनमें किस तरीके से हम उसकी गुणवत्ता बढ़ा सकते हैं, उसका मूल्य संवर्धन कर सकते हैं, इसकी ओर सोचना आवश्यक हो जाता है। तो फ्रेंड्स, I welcome you all to this platform of Flora Fauna Science Foundation, and I also welcome Dr. Sundaresan, who is a stalwart in botanical aspects of agriculture. You do find botanical experts in botany, but you will find here a botanical expert also in agriculture because of his association with the Central Institute of Medicinal and Aromatic Plants, CSIR. Today we have under our theme, Fasal Se Safal, which means from harvest to success or crop to success. How do we really attain it is going to be the attempt that today he would be making through a new aspect. As you would have seen that today's main object of discussion is botanicals. You have heard many times about herbals, herbal drugs, herbal formulations, natural products, and so on. But you do not find this botanical term so often used by those who are into practicing agriculture or industry from natural products or fields. So what I would like to say is that botanicals is the best definition to define whatever comes out of botanical fields, and botanical fields do not confine themselves to only higher plants. They also go to lower plants where you talk of algae, fungi, and many microscopic organisms which are from plant kingdom. And therefore it extends from herbals, what is usually very commonly referred as, to pharma. It also takes you from phytoceuticals or phytoconstituents into BRS, botanical reference standards, which every industry has a need to follow if they are doing any production or manufacturing with quality control. It also goes from things like nutraceuticals to adaptogens, where you are talking of preventive health care, immunity, and also resilience to all those adverse conditions that might happen in our life or we can face from environment. It also is botanical aids. It provides botanicals provide botanical aids to do research, and therefore also lead to chemotaxonomy. We have heard about taxonomy, but when we talk of chemotaxonomy, where the taxonomy gets redefined in terms of the capability of plants to produce metabolites, which can be used whether primary or secondary, not only for humans, animals, and everyone, in fact, survival of the planet itself. And then another aspect that appears from botanicals is diagnostics in plants. We are talking about barcoding of plants, but in my opinion, without botanical understanding of the plant, where we talk of the signatures, which are typically of whatever they produce, whether through metabolism or through accumulation, becomes diagnostics of those plants. And then from that diagnostic comes quality control for industry who are into it. So it becomes a very important topic to discuss. And what we are trying to do is that when we do a farming of not only food crops, but also botanicals, which are going to give you phytoconstituents or chemicals or phytoceuticals or phytopharmaceuticals or botanical reference standards, and so many aids which can be used against diseases to cure them, prevent the diseases, make a better healthy lifestyle, and so on. Botanical becomes very important. And therefore, Flora Fauna Science Foundation and particularly Dr. Sundaresan, we have taken a lead to bring botany to the front of bioresearch or biological field, where we talk of how these botanicals are going to lead in terms of even when we say Atmanirbharta or self-reliance. So I would come again after his talk to elaborate some of the things. And now, without taking more time, I'll request that he may be formally introduced.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce my colleague, Dr. Sundaresan. Dr. Sundaresan is presently stationed at our resource center of CSIR at Bengaluru. He is principal scientist, and his field of specialization, as Dr. Khanuja has already told you in his introduction, that he is expert in classical and molecular taxonomy of angiosperm, biodiversity of characterization, and DNA barcoding in medicinal aromatic plants, conservation biology and phylogeny, bioprospection of Indian medicinal plants, genetic improvement, and molecular markers of the maps. He has more than 87 publications to his credit and 1 patent, and developed several varieties in asparagus, menthol mint, lemongrass, tulsi, periwinkle, and Eucalyptus situdera, to name a few. And he has also published 2 products, herbal products, one cough syrup, an Ayurveda-based anti-allergic, non-sedative polyherbal product, very effective in cough and colds. And second one is anti-arthritis formulation, that is again a herbal-based formulation. Both the products are very popular. Then he has also contributed and written 5 books, and he has been recognized at several fora and platforms, like he is elected fellow of National Academy of Sciences, India, NASI, the elected fellow in the Linnean Society, London. He has been CSIR Raman Research Fellow. He was a task force member in Traditional Knowledge Digital Library, CSIR TKDL. DST Advisory Committee member to Mentor Orchids Research and Development Center, ORDC, and Ethnomedicinal Research Center, EMRC, at Fields, Hangbang, Manipur, past executive member of Karnataka Biodiversity Board, and past executive member of Karnataka Medicinal Plants Authority, Kampa. So without taking your much time, I request our friend and our colleague, Dr. Sundaresan, to deliver his lecture. Dr. Sundaresan, please.
Thank you, sir. It's my pleasure and my sincere thanks to my teacher, my mentor, my guru, who groomed me, who is still grooming me as a very good, polished scientist, as he mentioned in his introductory talk, a botany person and speaking in agriculture, that all, and a classical taxonomy person. When I joined in CMAP, GRB, very raw taxonomy person. And now where I am standing at all because of our mentor, our founder president, Dr. Khushi. I think everyone knows in this platform. Still I am grooming from sir, and this is a wonderful topic actually. I think I can easily talk in many platforms, but when your mentor or guru is sitting, it's little difficult, but it is good. He has provided the topic actually. So this topic is very important topic, because in CSIR or in ICR or in many organizations, many of they don't know, or they are not much given importance to botanicals actually. So we are talking in the very plum side of what we are looking, or what we are doing the work, but it is very, very important. The foundation is botanicals. And when he was in director in CMAP, I think the department was strengthened, anything like that. And that was the basic actually, mother of all sciences, botany or taxonomy. So today I feel very proud to talk about botanicals, because it's very difficult after Dr. R.R. Rao, Dr. Sanjappa. Very few people talk about botanicals actually. That is the very basic things. Whatever we are, maybe a food nutrition, maybe a pharmaceutical, whatever it may be, whatever we are seeing today, everything is based on botanicals. I think sir knows that very well, and he has given a very important topic actually. I think I can discuss many things in the title. Sir, I have divided into 2 parts actually. One is the agrobiodiversity, because many people, they may not know what is agrobiodiversity. So few of the slides, I am just explaining what is agrobiodiversity, why it is important, and where we stand actually. Then what is our strength actually, why we are not able to do many things, what is the lacuna, and what is the conclusion. So this way I have arranged my talk, sir. So I think I will do it actually. So few slides will be explaining the importance of agrobiodiversity, because many young scholars are joined in this. They may not get a chance to know actually. So I think I can share my slide. Is it visible, sir?
Yeah, visible.
So thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So the title, as everyone knows, it is agro biodiversity as the future of farming of high value botanicals. So already sir explained very nicely, very simply. Agro biodiversity is very important. There is biodiversity, all we know, but what is agro biodiversity? So I have given a bookish definition. Agro biodiversity, the same variety and variability of living things, maybe animals, plants, and microorganisms, but that can be directly or indirectly used for food and agriculture, including crops, livestock, forestry, and fisheries. So here slightly it differs from biodiversity, because biodiversity, we know, it speaks about variety and variability. Here it speaks about, it is indirectly used for where actually. It is used for, the targeting is agriculture. It includes crops, livestock, forestry, and fisheries. So this agro biodiversity directly related to, not, this is not a single component. You should understand agro biodiversity related to soil microorganisms, agro ecosystems, different agro ecosystems, livestock and fish species, crop species, varieties, wild species, animal and plant germplasm. When it is a biodiversity, biodiversity speaks as a whole. Biodiversity speaks as a whole ecosystem. The ecosystem may be a forest ecosystem, maybe a pond ecosystem, maybe desert ecosystem. But here, this agro biodiversity speaks one particular ecosystem, that is agri ecosystem. But this agro ecosystem is not a single component. This includes many things, as I mentioned. And what we are looking out from this agri biodiversity, it is mainly the rich cultivars, the ancient varieties, naturally resilient breeds, unique chemotypes, etc. And these both are we are expecting from wild and as well as cultivated resources. So this include variety of plants, animals, microbes, and this can be directly or indirectly used for livestock, agriculture, fisheries. So this is the main area of agrobiodiversity. If you see this slide, agrobiodiversity has many phases. It's not a single word. The word is single, but this has many phases. This has adaptability. This is very, very important today's date. Organic pest and disease control deals with organic pest and disease control. Agrobiodiversity deals with availability of food and raw materials. Agrobiodiversity related to pollination, pollination of insects, of pollination of crops. Agrobiodiversity deals with fighting climate change, food security, conserving water, yield parameter. But we are focusing only on yield. But apart from yield, there are many things as a informed maintenance of soil health. That is very, very important part of agrobiodiversity. So as I told, it has a different phases. It doesn't have a single phase. Agrobiodiversity, you cannot define, you cannot confine this is this actually. It's not like that. It is a complex structure that deals with many other things. All these things are very important for a healthy ecosystems. So if you see the role of agrobiodiversity, I have given a small flow chart. It's very important in conservation of ecosystem structure. So ecosystem, we all know, ecosystem has a structure. We used to call it as a food web. We used to call it as a flora, or we used to call it as a fauna. So maintaining these ecosystem structure and conserving this ecosystem structure, agrobiodiversity play a very important role. And increase productivity and food security. This everyone knows, because this helps to increase our productivity and food security. Reduce dependence of external input. Is the external input maybe from foreign countries or foreign genes or foreign species or foreign germplasm, gene bank, material, whatever may be. And reduce agriculture pressure in fragile areas, make farming system more sustainable, and diversity products and income opportunities. So these 6 points, are so important for a national economy and wealth of the country. Here, the role of agrobiodiversity is so important. And I have given you a small example. Over the past 10,000 years, people have created countless varieties of crops and livestock breeds actually. So this is one important example why we have to develop or create this much varieties of crops and this much livestock breeds. Why it is very important? Because there the role of agrobiodiversity plays a major role. Now there is a question: why are we talking about it? I have given some data. In 21st century, we all are thinking there are many issues are there. Climate change is one big issue, and the main issue is shrinking biodiversity. It is a worldwide actually. Around 4 lakhs globally identified plant species. We are using not even 6,000 crops food by humans throughout the history. Till date, this is not the today's number. Till date, we are using only this much number actually. And if you say 3 major crops, they are providing more than 50% of the world's calories from plants that we all know: rice, maize, and wheat. So out of 4% of the around 3 lakh known plant species, only 150 to 200 are used by the entire human beings. And 60% of the calories, maybe proteins for human nutrition, they all are coming from just 3 species actually. So if you see the throughout the full world food, just 12 crops they together and 5 animal species provide 75% of the food protection or our hunger protection. So if you see the data, 2050, the world population reaches around 9 billion. More than 900 million are already malnourished. At present, 75% of the world food is generated from only 12 plant, as I informed actually. So this is the status. This is the status of not only India. This is the status of the whole world. Why it is like this? This is why we have only 3 species or only 3 plant. This side we have a 4 lakhs plant. This side we have speaking about 1 digit or 2 digit actually. So this is a very, very important, alarming situation of the country actually. This is very, very important actually. And if you see the agrobiodiversity contribute sustainable livelihood, because today we all are talking about sustainability actually, because it's very important. Without the future is on sustainable livelihood actually. We cannot use or we cannot granted everything, each and everything actually. So this sustainable livelihood may be the local level, national level, or international level. If you see this small diagram, this is interrelated within each one. The agriculture is related with ecosystem and landscape. The same agriculture related with inter and intra-species diversity, and all these trees are providing or helping to building the community. The community is protected by the ecosystem landscape. If we protect the ecosystem and landscape, definitely we will get a restoration of agriculture. When the restoration of the agriculture is continuous in a very good maintenance of species and genetic diversity, the adaptation level will be high. So that adaptation level will conserve and adjust the community level actually. So these 3 are interrelated and they all together, they help the community serving actually. So I have given a flow chart, and one by one genetic diversity and variation of flora and fauna species facilitate ability to adapt. It is very important. Ability to evolve. We need new crops, new things, new formulas, new herbals, new phytopharmaceuticals. Ability to tolerate abiotic stress and ability to act against biotic stress. These 2 are very, very important in not only agricultural sector, in every sector, this is very important. The plant to tolerate abiotic stresses in the form of frost, high temperature, drought, waterlogging, because nowadays we all reach into a saturation point. We have many number of varieties. We have many number of strains. We have many number of clones which can help to which has increased yield, increased biomass, increased content, etc., etc. But we have very minimum or at most nil clones of which can withstand with the stresses like frost, high temperature, drought. We are facing due to climate change, all these things actually. One side completely drought, 40 degree, 45 degrees Celsius. One side completely flooded actually, waterlogging condition. So we need such a type of stress tolerate varieties and act against biotic stresses. One side disease, pest, parasite. This is a very, very alarming problem actually. And role of adaptation dynamics is very important because they need resilience of the whole system. That is a link between natural and cultivated landscapes. That is very, very important. Maintenance of species and genetic diversity. Because as we are speaking only about the ecosystem diversity, that is the agro ecosystems actually. If you see this flow chart, I just try to get some data from this flow chart. Until 2015, I have the data actually. This looks very simple actually. This says where we are focusing. So if you see slowly, gradually, there is a increase in work on agrobiodiversity in gender. Okay, the red line showing the agrobiodiversity work on gender. These are some of the publications, varieties, patents, etc., etc. And if you see, there is a gradual increase in this blue color, that is agrobiodiversity and genetics and ecology. And if you see the yellow, that is the global change, there is also an increase actually. But these graphs says when there is a general agrobiodiversity and general concern, this graph says we are not much focusing actually. Where we want to focus, whether we want to focus agrobiodiversity and food, where we want to focus agrobiodiversity and governance, or we want to focus on global change. We don't have much focus, and we are doing lot of work on agrobiodiversity, maybe a patenting, maybe a publication, maybe varieties in general actually. So this till 15, I have the data. This data shows we are focusing on a general issues, not much focusing either on climate change, either on governance, or even either on policies or food or any change we need actually. So this is very, very important, alarming figure actually. So if you see how the maximal agrobiodiversity can change the face of farming actually, I have given 5 important, I think sir may put light more on this actually, because 5 important things of farming, we can bring a huge revolution through this agrobiodiversity. When you increase the agrobiodiversity intervention, one is the combating climatic change crisis, because as I told, throughout the world, from the human evolution, the major crop we are using just 3 crops actually. Okay, and around 12 flora and fauna we are using in our agrobiodiversity maximum. Around 4 lakhs are in our bank actually. So when we use continuously these species, we all know the impact actually on soil, on environment, on the economy, etc., etc. But when we increase the agrobiodiversity usage, maximal agrobiodiversity, or maximal species, maximal botanicals, they can revolutionize the face of farming. One is combating climate change and crisis. This includes nematodes, rhizospore, microbes, earthworms, or I can say in a put a one word, soil health actually. So this take care of soil health when you are including more biodiversity, agrobiodiversity in face of farming. And another one important thing, untapped potential of indigenous traditional knowledge. I think earlier CMAP has done a lot of work on that actually, a folk knowledge actually. Today we are vanishing, lot of knowledge is vanishing from the traditional people. So this untapped potential of the indigenous traditional knowledge, we can bring it to the mainstream, and improvement in growth yield with the diversified genetic varieties. As I informed, we are using only few actually. And chance of promoting women empowerment, because India as an agriculture country, there are n number of agriculture countries are there, and we all know, especially in Indian scenario, equally men, or you can say a little bit higher than men, the women empowerment, women are in the agriculture field actually. And one more thing, these are related with the traditional knowledge point. This is promotion of local diversity and breeds via marketing. So when we include more agrobiodiversity elements, definitely the face of farming will change, especially in these 5 aspects. In the soil health, number 1, and increased growth yield with the diverse varieties, and chance of promoting women empowerment, and promotion of local diversity of breeds via marketing, and untapped potential of traditional knowledge actually. So this is very important. And how policy can go with this science actually. This I can call it as a agro biodiversity science. How policy can, again I have put 5 points actually. This is very, very important. One is investing in the research of indigenous resilient varieties. This all 5 point, we can say, we can proudly say we are working here and there, but it's not enough, I can say. So investing in the research of indigenous resilient varieties, that we can do. One, connecting the benefactors through niche marketing through the local people. This many government, many policy makers are doing very good, in a very good way. Improving scope of ethnobiological studies and uplifting small scale farmers. So earlier slide I showed how we can include the traditional knowledge, we can convert, but for that before we need research policy to carry out this actually, because we have to go back to our roots actually. This today we have a problem for this much population, but we have a solution in our roots actually. So we have to go back to our root to get solution, like our family. Suppose if sometimes we get some disease, some illness, it's not curing for a long time, what we will do, we go to first allopathy, immediately pharmaceutical, pharmacy, then we go to the Ayurveda, then we go to Siddha, then we go to the traditional system, finally we go to the grandmother actually, or grandfather, we go to our roots actually. So the same thing I am telling, ethnobiological studies are so important, and conservation of the genetic diversity by introducing seed banks to farmers. This is very, very important, where the policy science require in agrobiodiversity, and empowering youth to take up agrobiodiversity related farmings actually. So this is, I think we are very lacking back actually. So these 5 areas, agrobiodiversity policy, science related policy should be there. It is very, very important for the future generation actually. So if you see the current scenario of depleting agrobiodiversity, I can say depleting, I have used this word very purposefully, because each and every day we are losing, each and every day actually. 4 points I have given, these are very, very important. Today we are evidence for rapid industrialization. I'm not saying, I'm not against for any growth and development, but this makes in the cost of threat to local food production system. And second one, dilution of local ethnobiological knowledge about harvested species. We don't have any knowledge how to store, especially even we can store, how to process, we don't have how to process. And very important, how to utilize, how to use, how to cook, how to make it to palatable, or how to make it to attractive for this generation. That dilution of we don't have any information. And genetic erosion and plant invasion by exotic varieties. This is very unfortunate one we are facing in our generation. And marginalization of small scale diverse farming style that conserved varieties actually. So this is very, very important. This today we are evidence all these things. And I have given one simple example. I think every state they may face or they may evidence this actually. The Badavari and the Toda, these are raised by the Toda tribe in the Nilgiri Hills. These breeds completely towards extinction and replaced by, as I given in this slide, the erosion, plant invasion by exotic varieties. We have completely finished our original, our indigenous traditional varieties. Now we are talking about A1 milk, A2 milk, probiotic rich milk, this milk, that milk actually. So we are making rapid industrialization, but unfortunately we fail to make our, keep our own traditional one towards extinction. And this is a global scenario. I have given 2 important examples. What happened to this, like the race of the livestock, this is in the crop actually. One, a high mineral content like Digitaria exilis or Panicum millesium, that is a proso millet and not effectively marketed. This is from African example. And another one is the northern China example, that is Panicum millesium, that is the crop referred as a proso millet cultivated in North China. So both are now, it is not there, or it is completely, it is vanished from their own country actually. An Indian scenario, now we are talking about this year is year of millet actually. Everywhere we are talking about year of millet, but what is the fate of our millet actually? Local grain crops like Indian millets, they are not effectively marketed and are being replaced by modern high yielding crops like wheat and rice. I have given two examples, that is a pear millet or bajra in northern parts of India, and there are many. I will show in my next slide actually. Throughout the country, I have given this map actually purposefully. Jammu Kashmir to Kanyakumari, throughout the country, how much millets we used once upon time actually. You can take it as a foxtail or a finger millet or barnyard, small millet, minor millet, little millet, kodo, pear, proso, sorghum. There are n number of huge biodiversity, agrodiversity once upon time we had. But now it is unfortunately the area is reduced millet production. You just imagine 35 to just 15 million hectares now the whole country if you put it in together. There are many reasons are there, maybe a low yield and profitability, time consuming and laborious processing, very little marketed. I can say this third point is very, very important because low yield, there are many good varieties are there. ICR developed a number of varieties. Time consuming, I don't think time consuming is the real reason actually. Laborious is as much as like other crops actually. I think this is because of the mainly because of the very little marketed and very tiny share of grain is processed into value added product. These 2 points are very important. One, we have not marketed very properly. Second one is very, very small share because we have not made any value added product. This is very, very important point actually. So Indian millets, I have put a title little negatively, but it is a fact actually. I don't have any other option. I tried to focus in a very positive way, but I couldn't actually. So we have, I think many of you may at least seen in the picture, especially this generation, kodo millet, pear millet. Once upon a time, it was very staple food of Rajasthan, Punjab, Haryana, North Indian parts. Kodo millet, or sometimes you can say finger millet. These are Karnataka's staple food actually. I can say if you ask me, Karnataka is the only state which is following at least one single millet, that is finger millet. They are following in a very holistic way as a staple food actually. But all other, if you see other countries, the millet story is in a very sad state, even though we are celebrating in a very proud way actually. So the next step, it is very, very important actually. Measuring the agro biodiversity index. It is very, very important because in many countries, Colombia, even in Western countries, they have started this work actually. As I told, it is again, we have to go back to our root. When the collection of data on biodiversity across the often disconnected domains, these three we used to call, even when we joined in CMAP, sir used to tell this is very important, genetic resources. Even our department name was Genetic Resources and Biotechnology. So it is very, very important. The disconnected domain. Till date, it is the disconnected domain. Many of the hardcore researcher, maybe working in molecular biology or very attractive science or synthetic biology, they forgot one very, very interesting thing. These three things, especially the third one, the genetic resources is very important. Often they fail to disconnect with their science. And this is very important. It's a timely needed this actually. So when measurement, the measurement means the status actually that may be useful for planned action, calculated risk and untapped potential to increase its use and conservation. It's not like just this year we celebrate millet. Next year we will celebrate for wheat. Next year we will celebrate for rice. It doesn't mean that actually. When you approach the problem scientifically, we need this type of systematic studies on nutrition, on agriculture sector and genetic resources. So studying agricultural biodiversity at different levels is very important. Ecosystem level we have, but I am telling not the broad biodiversity. I am here mentioning the agro biodiversity. That is very, very important actually. The agricultural biodiversity level, That ecosystem level is very, very important. That may be a ecosystem level, species level. That may be a maize, that may be a chili, that may be a banana, that may be an apple, or a chicken, or bean, or pine, or maybe any medicinal or any aromatic crop, whatever it may be. Then again, genetic level, different nutritious property, different taste, different resistances, how they are behaving, how the gene level, how they are doing actually. So this is very first step forward actually. Here, I just want to give one small example, how we can do, how we can start actually, and how much things we have. I can give one small example, yeah, rice actually, because we all know India, world's second largest producer of rice after China. And I think many of you know the Dr. Richeria, very eminent rice man actually. There was a time Katak, he was there actually. He estimated there were around 4 lakh rice varieties in Vedic period. Okay, even 1980s, he estimated around 2 lakh varieties. And he himself collected around 20,000 rice varieties from Madhya Pradesh actually. Okay, you just imagine one state. And now, as of now, 2023, the NPBGR estimates 1 lakh land races of paddy in India. But unfortunately, the name of increasing the crop production, this made rice cultivation more dependent on external inputs. Very sadly, maybe improved seed, fertilizer, technology, and this caused loss of indigenous rice varieties. And farmers lost their heritage seed once owned traditionally by their own community, by their forefathers, where what I am again and again, the root, the traditional, due to monocropping of hybrids actually. And there are no detail about nutritional property. You can search, you can put Sona Masuri, you can put your any rice, you may not get the nutritional property. Why we are eating rice actually? If you ask this question, I think many of you may not answer. And if I ask what vitamin your Sona Masuri have actually, no one has the answer. We just give the value for boiled and milled, raw and hand pound, raw and milled, rice flakes and buffed rice, looks very nice, looks small, very white color, very aroma. Apart from that, if we ask any nutritional value, we don't have actually. But there are some steps taken by government and NGO organizations. I have given one small example. This is done in Tamil Nadu. Community seed bank of traditional rice. This is very, very important, very good approach actually. This is farmers seed bank, and these seeds are conserved under natural condition as part of cropping pattern, and there is ample scope for co-evolution, and it is continuous. The very, very important, this is community based actually. There is no organization, there is no godown is there. You just go and store all these things, and this is by the community persons actually. And this is need based and decentralized. It is maintained at a low cost. Main beneficiary, farmer, people organizations, farmer organization, association with the community, different communities actually. So this is very farmer friendly. So this is a one important community seed bank they have maintained actually. And another one is the DST effort. It is very important. Shri, Science and Heritage Research Initiative. This program, restoration, conservation of the heritage rice seeds actually. This is very, very important. And this one example they implemented in Tamil Nadu. There are 24 districts actually. They established this heritage rice varieties. About 20 heritage rice varieties traced, collected, restored through 10 community seed banks, benefiting more than 500 farmers actually. Within these 500 farmers are the community participated farmers, and this is a voluntary participation. The principles of these banks are, they are memory bank of ethno-ecological knowledge. What is ethno? The traditional, the root, our original root. What is this ecological? The agrobiodiversity ecosystem. So this knowledge is restored as a bank, and promotion of medicinal knowledge, special agronomic qualities through associated cultural belief as well as their conservation. So these banks propagate the heritage varieties through seed bank program and organic seed multiplication. I have given some list of these varieties actually. This is in Tamil. I think you may not understand, but these are some common traditional varieties. Till date, it is restored. More than 50 traditional varieties conserved and cultivated. And one program, that is our rice program, that is initiative by the Center for Indian Knowledge System, conserved 140 traditional rice varieties. I'm giving just 2-3 varieties actually. See, this is one that is called Samba, Maple Samba. This is, see this property, not like our earlier, our what we are using rice actually. This is good for diabetic, low glycemic index, vitamin B, improves hemoglobin content, rich in iron, high fiber. You can describe what is the quality of this rice. This rice has vitamin B. This rice has vitamin E. This has helps in secretion of insulin. This has high iron rich, easily digestible. So for kids, it is okay. So this type of detail, some rice, this is for pain-free delivery, drought resistant, high fiber content, good for diabetic, rich in. So this is life longevity. So just imagine we have such a wonderful traditional knowledge and traditional information. So this is very important actually. So I think as I informed to sir, I have made it into a 2 till date. Till this slide, I have explained about the agro biodiversity and state of that, how to improve that actually. So the next part is the botanicals actually. So this is very, very interesting slide. I'm not against our botanical group. There are n number of global standard botanical adventures actually. The discovery of Chincona, it is from botanicals. Discovery of rubber from botanical. Tea, botanical. Wild maize, sweetening, this all are coming from botanicals, the wild botanicals actually. And one question I put for me also, why not such botanical adventures from India? When we speak about India, a mega diversity country, and all we know, this is 16 major forest type, 221 minor forest type, one of the 12 centers of origin of the diversity, Hindustani center of origin of cultivated species. There are n number of jewels, crowns in our diversity actually. But biodiversity rich areas, nearly 50% of the global aqua biodiversity is in our country. Himalaya, Western Ghats, Northeast, Andaman and Nicobar Island, hotspot, etc., etc., etc. We have different biogeographical zone, Trans Himalaya, West Himalaya, Gangetic, East Himalaya, Northeast India. Each region, they have their own diversity, they have their own climate, own soil, everything is different, and the diversity is different. So such a very rich diversity, biodiversity. And I have given the total species of our country. You just imagine, we have around 22,000 angiosperm, we have around 83 gymnosperm till date, we have pteridophyte around 1,300, bryophyte, lichens, fungi around 15,000, and in 2022 alone, it is 13 genera, 319 species, infraspecific taxa around 20, and they have described. And of these, around 186 taxa is new to the science. If you see number of plants discovered from Indian states, it's Kerala, it's at top actually. Then Arunachal Pradesh in 2022 alone, we have described 17 new plants from Arunachal Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu followed by third, that is 15 plant actually. So this data says the discovery of botanicals actually. This include, as I told, not only the higher plant, this may be lower group also. And 21% of these discoveries are from Western Himalaya. So just imagine the Himalaya is evolving. It is the youngest mountain. The geographical people used to tell, the phytogeography says Himalaya is the youngest mountain. Why it is the youngest mountain? Still speciation is happening. So last 2022, the discovery, the botanical discovery, 21% of the total discovery, they are from Western Himalaya, and followed by Western Ghat, Eastern Himalaya, West Coast, East Coast, Northeast ranges, Central Highland, etc., etc. actually. So you just see this, the diversity, what we have actually. And the Indian Genetics Center, Out of 14 hotspot, 12 are located in Asia. The different agroclimatic zone, 10 vegetation zone, 26 biotic provinces, and the rice, sugarcane, many center of Vavilo centers actually. So we have, it's not like that we don't have anything actually. We have such a wonderful botanicals. I just want to give few slides quickly what we have in our hand. As I told, Hindustani center of origin of cultivated plant, n number of musa, citrus, temperate fruit, you can say any name, any biodiversity we have actually. And this beautiful diversity of one citrus jam blossom just from Northeast India. This is not throughout the country's jam blossom. This is just one area, Northeast India jam blossom of one species. And I purposely given this slide actually. This is one state, the Musa gene pool of one state from Manipur. You just forget about other states of the country. We get from one state this much huge genetic variability. And in Lucknow or in northern part of India, how many banana we are eating? I think just only one variety. Only one variety we are eating every day. Even we search for option, we don't get option. But at the other side, such a huge agro biodiversity. From one state, we have more than 25 varieties or genetic diversities of banana. And curcuma, we know curcuma. Curcuma, the whole world, not only our country, are behind curcumin content. Can we increase the curcumin content of the plant? Can we get a plant with high curcumin content? The whole world, we are not able to reach not more than 8%. Even though many institutes claim ours is 12%, ours is 15%, scientific studies, detailed studies says it is not more reaching more than 8 or 9% actually. But we, one side, we have such a beautiful, such a wonderful botanicals in the wild, in the biodiversity actually. And this slide, I think many of you may not see the plant at all, not even a single time actually. Okay, this one side, we don't know. We don't know what they have, how they can be implement for our biodiversity improvement actually. There are n number of species. Once it is described, once it is in the herbarium, then we forgot actually. Such a beautiful diversity of rhododendron. Rhododendron, everyone knows how many species are there. It's more than 200 species in the Himalayas actually. But many things are untapped actually. Then one question will come: if it is tapped actually, can we get a good quantity? Of course, definitely we will get. Otherwise, we can make some improvement program actually. Hypomia, there is a huge medicinal properties are in hypomia. Very few species are exploited, and many species are not at all exploited actually. And wild races, as I told, wild races, we are using very few, 1 or 2 or 3, the multinational companies which they are concentrating very few species for their domestication. But still we have n number of botanicals, n number of species in the biodiversity, in the agrobiodiversity center. This is one example for cuckoo species. Hardly we use 2 or 3 cuckoo species in our country, but there are n number of untapped cuckoo species as a botanical in the species. In these few slides, I just give. You never seen this plant actually, but this can be used as a edible fruit, maybe a Alophilus. I think Coccinia India you may see in your villages or outskirts of the cities actually. And Flacosia is there, Caparis silanica, sometimes Caparis, the pickle and jam is coming. So this is a very good, not only the edible means they are very good nutritional also. Here I can give one borassus. This is the palm tree which grows the coastal area of throughout the country actually. And Trapa, I think Singada, you know, even Singada can be produced in a large quantity. Commercially, the Singada atta is not available in any of the shops actually. So it is not only the borassus flavivert, there are n number of other vegetables actually, wild vegetables. I don't know how many of you seen these plants actually as a wild vegetable. Solanum nigrum, I think many of you may eaten. But apart from this Solanum nigrum, we have a huge number of edible shoot, edible fruits, edible as a vegetable, as a fruit, as a anything actually. Maybe asparagus, many you can take bamboo shoot, you can phoenix, you can borassus, and many of the flowers actually. Very interesting. Many of you know, may not know the importance of flowers. I think when we were in GRB, Kanuja sir had a vision on this plant actually, Moringa. Moringa is a super plant actually, super herb. He used to call it as a super herb, and he did a lot of the group, Dr. Kanuja sir's group did a lot of work on Moringa, but it is available plenty. But still date, we don't have much knowledge on this actually. I think South, many of the people are eating, but that also too only the leaves and the fruits, not the flowers actually. And beauty of monosperma, it is plenty available, but we don't know about the important actually. So there are n number of flowers can be eaten actually. As I told, many traditional knowledge plant actually. So traditional knowledge plant, here the tubers, most of the Dioscorea species, most of the Dioscorea species, they are used for medicinal, pharmaceutical, edible, nutritional. The tribals are used many of the species which we never seen or which we never know actually. As I can see, Dioscorea alata, Dioscorea oppositifolia, Pentaphylla. In government of Karnataka, every year they conduct one mela exclusively for tribal tubers in Belagaum, North Karnataka area. So they used to bring more than 100 different varieties of tubers, which they are eating, which they are using for their traditional medicine actually. And there are some good cold desert botanicals actually. This bioprospection can help into cold resistant genes or any other things in other sector. And I just want to give one example, very important example. This is wood jalokia in Northeast. The capsicum is very hot actually. There are many uses are there. You see, this is available in Northeast actually. But very recent reports say the USA, they make a fine powder to test the native grass seeds actually to eliminate the rodents. Once they eliminate the rodents actually by a very natural way, and 86% increase in the germination they found actually. So this can be adopted in many of our agricultural sector. So as I told, many traditional knowledge we can convert into scientifically. Very recently, I think it is not published, this report actually. There are many traditional knowledges are there, but we need little bit scientific valuation. So I have given one small example, a stem bark of Aspidosperma nitidum, a species actually, that is very long used by the tribal group actually for the anti-inflammatory or they don't know what is anti-cytotoxic or anti-cancer, but they used to consume actually for the very common, some malaria, some rheumatism, they don't know what is the disease name actually. So there is a very recent scientific study. They have taken the bark of this tree with that with the local knowledge, traditional knowledge, with the help of the traditional knowledge, they have isolated 5 compound, a new compound. It includes a new compound, and they have successfully tested the cytotoxicity actually. I have not here touched much of the science actually. Why this slide I just put actually, still we have a broad scope for these types of studies. We can bring out not only for nutrition, not only for the races, not only for the increasing the food production, not only for the resisting disease, insect, pest, etc., etc. We can bring n number of genes, n number of chemicals, compounds from the untapped botanicals. This I just want to put some 3 slides actually. Very important. This year they have described one species, that is Momardica. It is very closely related with Karela. So this type of inventarization every year they are doing actually, such a wonderful inventarization. But we can tap this for mainstream agriculture, what type of things we can do this actually. And 2 new Piper species actually, because we know 1 or 2 Piper we are using actually, but we have new species they have described actually. So this can be potential for can be tapped for the future one. And this is very important species actually, the wild relatives of many of the medicinal plant. This can be tapped for new pharmaceuticals and all those things actually. I think I'm coming to the end of this talk actually. So if you see future prospects of agrobiodiversity studies and practices, one is for focusing food security, second is for nutrition and health, third is for resilience of farming system, fourth is for source of income. So these four things are very important, should be in the focus actually. Food security, it is to enhance the diversity of alternative food crops actually. Okay, that is very, very important, because where a major food crops fail in the sense of taking care of our health, taking care of our day-to-day vitamins, nutrient, etc., etc. Nutrition and health. See, this is to increase the diversity of diet actually, because we are eating a lot of chawal, a lot of things actually. But what about the diet? What about the nutrition? We don't know that actually. So this is very important, focusing the agrobiodiversity studies. Resilience of farming system, monoculture farming, we should avoid the monoculture farming. So because here it is, policy intervention is very much important. And source of income, this can be a medicinal plant source, phytopharmaceutical zones is source, anything actually. This small scale farmers or entrepreneurs can be do some value added through the local fruit or vegetable or a ethnic millet papad actually. This can be an example actually. But very important thing, very cautious steps is required actually. Because I just give one example, a Kunua in 2013. They celebrated, UN declared it as an international year of quinoa. So this is the Andean region of South America. It's a white variety, more demand and market size this much ton, around 62,000. And this still there is a growth actually. But what happens actually, when there was a boom actually, farmers lost their rate actually. So it is very important when we are celebrating the International Year of Millet 2022 to promote indigenous millet, we should learn lesson from boom and bust cycle from the Kunwa. So make more high value end product from millets. That is very important. First, one side, we have to create the market for the high value product, then popularizing the grain consumption. That will be the ideal model. So in my concluding remark, Indian agrobiodiversity is very rich. We have a Western Ghats, high Himalaya, cold desert. These three areas could be very highly rewarding. Identifying right bioresource for domestication and converting the agro resources into farming resources is very important, and it is a major challenge. And better genotype in biofuel plant, this we can target actually. Wild relative crop plant can be another target from the botanicals. Wild food plant, novel molecules in medicinal plant, chemoprospecting in aromatic plant are major challenge area. But very important things to note, focus on interrelationship between the unused, lesser known, slowly vanishing local variety or crops. One side, the unused, lesser known, slowly vanishing ethnic crops, and the other side, highly cultivated, improved exotic variety. So these interrelationships we should study scientifically, and policy should be made on these lines actually. Where we stand, then it is very easy. But very important, cooperative investigations is very important. The breeders, mainly the agricultural breeders, those who are searching the varieties, the variations in their farm. But there is a big playground. What they don't know is a wild agro biodiversity or a botanicals diversity. So there they should go. The persons, those who knows the wild biodiversity or wild botanicals, they should see the variation, they should see the ecosystem diversity. So I have given a variety of scientists, maybe a botanist, maybe ethno person, agriculture, nutritionist, they all should cooperative investigations very much required, and interdisciplinary studies very important, as we did in our time during Dr. Kanuja's time actually. And funding agencies, they must sanction project dealing with the prospection with interdisciplinary studies, then only we can make actually. So with this, I am concluding my talk. I don't know, I fulfilled the expectation of everyone, and my sincere acknowledgement to our my mentor, founder president, our flora fauna, and my guide, my guru, and whatnot. I have a lot of, I don't have words actually for Dr. Kanuja sir, who I am here because of him actually, and Dr. R.R. Rao, who took me into the field, the botanical world, because I don't think now there is no field botanist after Dr. Rao and Dr. Sanjappa. There are very few people. So it is a very important, I think, foresight as usual. SARS foresight, the visionary think actually botanicals is the future, botanicals is the world, because we are eating, we are living with some set of a dozen of crops or plants or whatever it may be. And my scholar Akansha, she helped me to prepare some of the presentations, and very good presentations she prepared. And Dr. Murugan is assistant professor. He's attached with our flora fauna in many preparing calendar and all those things. And I sincere acknowledgement for all the people. Thank you, sir. And I expect your opinion and improving this area, research on this area. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sundaresan, for your very comprehensive talk on this very important subject. And I hope that this topic will be discussed elaborately in today's G20 summit also. When all the major countries of the world are assembling their world leaders, and they will be coming out with some policy framework for conservation of biodiversity at global level. As such, there are no questions, but एक प्रश्न है कि village panchayat level पे what are your suggestions that how people can be made aware, especially the farmers, about the local flora and fauna and its conservation for high value botanicals? What is your opinion about it?
Sir, now recently Government of India has come with People Biodiversity Register, that is PBR. This PBR is documenting at a village level. A village Pradhan is one of the main member, and with all the stakeholders, maybe the government side or the industry side. So now they are making every village, they are making a People Biodiversity Register. So this includes all the land races, all the herbals, which is utilized by the farmer. So farmer will be one of the stakeholders. So whatever the benefit the industry or we will get from them, that will go back to the village panchayat actually. So this is going on, sir, but it is going in a very slow phases, and in a very steady phase it is going. So what we can educate them, this is very important actually from the future point of view. And whatever you are using, and apart from that, farmer rights are there, PVPR and all those rights are there. So they have wonderful community seed bank they can prepare, and we can facilitate them through the Shri program of the DST. So there are many things we have to do, sir, because they may not know their what type of potential they have actually. Sir, I think sir may.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I think our founder president, Dr. Khanuja, may give his comments. Yeah.
Thank you, Sundaresan. Wonderful talk, in-depth talk, and I can see you grown up to a real expert now at national level and internationally also. You can make a very big dent with the views that you have expressed today.
Thank you,
What
sir.
a day today. You know, today we have our G20 deliberations going on, and Vasudev Kutumbakam, that is the theme we have kept: one earth, one family, one future. A week back, I had the opportunity to deliver a talk at Ambedkar University on this topic. And today I can see that oneness that Sundaresan has brought through botanicals and the agrobiodiversity concept, which needs to come up as awakening thing that is not happening. That was the reason that we had this talk today. You know, when I used to teach molecular genetics in Biotechnology Center and at IARA, Indian Agriculture Research Institute, my first sentence in that class used to be, there is homogeneity within the heterogeneity, and there is heterogeneity within the homogeneity. Now, oneness, what we are talking about, that one earth, one family, one future, does not mean that we limit ourselves to one, but it means we have to understand the strength of that oneness. And that strength of oneness is in diversity. And second aspect, which was touched upon also, is that don't undermine the small or tiny. Invisible is not non-existent. Invisible is the most abundant. And therefore, even future in agriculture as well as botanicals is going to be of lower plants, which we tend to keep losing because we think that what we see is the only thing that exists. And with the understanding of what has happened, the journey that Dr. Sundaresan showed us today, that how from such an enormous diversity we are depending on 12 crops and 15 total species, from the whole flora fauna, while we have millions of them and lakhs of them in hand. What has happened? Let me tell you, my understanding is that we lost the track of human diversity. The locals, the folklore, the tribes, and their habits and processes that they follow. We started focusing on products than processes. And therefore, if we go back to the recipes that our people living in far off areas who are not in touch or they are unreachable, if we reach them, we will find that there is a chemistry which really works. And as in last slide of Dr. Sundaresan, he said interdisciplinary approach is required. You will remember I used to say at CMAP, ABC of CMAP, agriculture, biology, and chemistry. The reason was that we cannot be castists in science. We cannot say, I'm a botanist, I do not know chemistry, I'm a physicist, I do not know agriculture, I'm an agriculturist, I do not know biotechnology, and so on. Till we keep doing that, that means we are not even understanding diversity within science. What will we understand from biodiversity? So this botanicals that was the eye opener, I'm sure for many of you who are listening today, that shows an example that on our planet, what we have is self-established biodiversity. And as has been assumed by many that agriculture has been an invasion into biodiversity. But let us not forget that humans used to be hunters. Human Homo sapiens, they were hunters. And in slowly they became agrarians. Agrarians, when they started cultivating plants and rearing animals, they became agrarians, or what we call as agriculturists today. And these agrarians became industrialists. And when they become industrialists, they focused on something that industrially or commercially is important. And therefore, we started overlooking at what actually exists. And oneness which comes on our earth is due to one molecule, and that is DNA. DNA is the determining factor in terms of the diversity as well as oneness. It is similar molecule in all organisms, whether microorganisms or higher microorganisms and so on. But then there is a diversity in its language, what is called genetic code, and then that gets translated into products, and those from plants we call as botanicals. And these botanicals in future are going to be important for us in the sense that value is high. When value is high, that means they can generate income. Use is high tech, and therefore R&D and innovations will require them. Demand is unique, therefore new industries, new manufacturing units, new make in India and made for world things can happen. And plants They have high diversity from higher plants to lower plants, visible to invisible, from macroscopic to microscopic. And that is what is going to tell us that one Earth has so much of diversity. Also is today first time we are meeting after India made a landing on moon, and what we are searching there, we are searching elements, and we all are made up of, all the organisms are made up of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur as the major elements, and sulfur has been detected there. Our Pragyan has detected sulfur already there. So what does it mean? If we are going to repeat what we did on Earth, also on Moon, then we are going to spoil Moon also. Let's not do it. So this is very high time that we start learning how to really live with Earth, not live on Earth. That is where we are doing the mistake. And live with Earth means all organisms would be important, and it is not wrong to say that defeated genes of today are going to be winner genes of tomorrow, because that is what will give us the adaptability which Dr. Sundaresan had very well told, that adaptation is the soul of any diversity, whether it is agrobiodiversity or it is diversity. And therefore agrobiodiversity becomes more important than agriculture, in the sense that we as agriculturists will not be considered as invaders, but we will be considered as one of those who are living on the earth. So let's live together, open to the diversity, open up our eyes to the diversity, and that's the future of the earth. So I'm sure today's talk that Sundaresan has given will be the first talk of the subject, which will open up many talks in detail into it, going into chemistry, going into molecular biology, going into agriculture, going into industry, and so on. So thank you so much, Sundaresan. I really appreciate the way you have taken up this topic, which was so diverse, and you consolidated that into one bottle. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
So, friends, I must tell you that श्री रमाकांत कारला जी ने अपने कमेंट्स में लिखा है कि एग्रो बायोडायवर्सिटी पर जो इंस्टीट्यूट, जैसा कि आपने भी कहा डॉक्टर खनुजा ने, कि इस पर रिसर्च को बहुत बढ़ावा देना चाहिए और विभिन्न इंस्टीट्यूट्स को भी इस सब्जेक्ट में अपनी रिसर्च को और आगे ले जाना चाहिए। और डॉक्टर अमनदीप कौर जिन्होंने लिखा है कि वन इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट फ्रॉम दिस टॉक विच इज true to many common people is the shape and aroma of rice, and have not that much knowledge about nutritional composition in every variety. So this is very important, and this needs to, this is the reason we are losing important agrobiodiversity. Yeah, and agrobiodiversity and growing only few varieties. This is very important comment, Dr. Kaur. So like this, we are thankful to all the listeners and viewers of this program. And we are very grateful to Dr. Sundaresan, who has made it convenient to be here on this Flora Fauna Science Foundation platform, of which he is a very, honorable member also. And he has delivered a very, very important talk today. We are thank you, Dr. Sundaresan, and our founder president, Dr. Sumanpreet Singh Khanuja, who has given his very valuable comments, just like that research on these aspects should be steered further, and we should take all aspects of biodiversity, be it human or flora fauna. We are also thankful to our colleagues, Dr. Neeraj Jain, Dr. Manika, and all other colleagues who have helped us in organizing this web series talk. And again, सभी जो भाग लेने वाले वैज्ञानिक हैं, students हैं, basically the participants of our Umang program, which is going on very well on this Flora Fauna Science Foundation platform with the collaboration of Skies India. We are thankful to you, and hopefully you people will learn about it, and you will also, try to do some work in this very important field. Again, इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ मैं आप सभी को एक बार फिर धन्यवाद देता हूं, और अगले महीने के सेकेंड सैटरडे को फिर एक नए टॉपिक के साथ, एक नए विशेषज्ञ, एक एक्सपर्ट के साथ फिर उपस्थित होंगे। तब तक के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। नमस्कार।
Thank you, sir.